24. So first and foremost, me and Harold can both agree it's an honor and privilege to be named MVP of the company, and that's a huge award. So it is a privilege to be standing in front of you guys and talking to you guys today as your all's MVPs. So Harold, if you want, go ahead and kick it off, brother. You're a beast. Go ahead, let him know who the man is, and then I'll take it.
Yeah, yeah. So, I was asked to do the call like recap, right? And for me, it was like, dude, all day yesterday, I was literally thinking about like, man, how there's a lot of information passed, in that place, and it's overwhelming, but it's amazing, right? And one of the things when we first got there, when I with my team, the first thing I told them was, hey, like, and this is what I was told by like Isaiah Tanmi and even Stephen Yee had told me this, was when you get into the convention, don't talk to your team. It's like, what do you mean? Don't talk to me. Don't talk to this person. Don't talk to the people you work with. Go and talk to everybody else. You have access to me or all these people at all times. There's no point in talking to me. So I do. I did it. I did it. I went and talked to every single person, whoever I could talk to, ask them questions, and again, continue to be a student. Okay. So that was the message that I had in the beginning. And again, every day, each one, for after each day, I talked to each one of my agents, like, all right, what'd you learn? Who'd you talk to? And it was great to see all the people that they had talked to and all their notes. So it was amazing. Um, but things that I plan on, actually, I have so many notes. I'm going to try to go through as much as I can. We can go back and forth, Ronnie. You want to do that, or you want me to go?
Yeah, so I think we can all agree that this convention was probably one of the best ones that we've ever witnessed as Family First Life as a whole. And seeing that the young generation was up there, like some of these guys were like 18, 19 up there tearing up the stage. And honestly, that was amazing part. But I think the best memory that I took away from this convention, you guys would all think it's the MVP award, and it's
Hmm.
honestly not. So Sean said something. He's like, the question that he asked us on stage, and he was like, "What was your biggest takeaway from this year, reflecting back on kind of like, running at an MVP level, like with your family, with your team? What was the biggest takeaway?" And I got like, I thought of this moment. So I remember like almost like 9 months ago, I was in Vegas about to take the stage for the first time ever, had just got out of the restaurant industry. And I was so nervous to go behind stage. And I remember my mentor, Zach Tordowski, walking me behind stage. And man, and to be able to do the same thing for my guys this week, that was like amazing. So, like, to me that was one of the best memories, is like the biggest reward is being able to be in a position that where you're changing people's life, and like people are winning, man. Like we're all here just to
Hmm.
win. And there's so many people that are in this company that want to see you guys win too, and that's the best part. Like I remember almost a year ago coming into this industry, like when I decided to go full time, like I was kind of like confused whether I wanted to go back and forth between the restaurant industry or go into the insurance services. Like I didn't know anything about it, but to become an MVP, guys, you guys don't need the experience. You don't need to have a sales background. You don't need to know anything about insurance, but you just need to learn and implement. And that's what these calls are. These calls are for every single
Hmm.
week. We're bringing you guys the best of the best for you guys to learn from and implement, and so you all can make an MVP run next year. So
Hmm.
taking it to that, Harold, what would you say is like the biggest thing is like to become an MVP is you need the mindset of an MVP, right? So what does that mindset of an MVP look like?
Uh, yeah, great. I love that because I think it was Tim Grover said it best, and I wrote it really large on my oh, somebody sharing a whiteboard on my noteboard on my notepad. But selfishness is not sharing your gift. And I think about that when, that MVP award is to me is I'm very hard on myself. So I look at it as I don't want to call myself an MVP if I don't share with everybody. That's how I look at it. If I'm not sharing and not trying to help everybody else, I can't necessarily call myself an MVP. So like this year, like this 2025, that really like woke me up and was like, I got the MVP award, but I need to share more and I'm not doing my part to share even more, right? The FFL literally gave me everything, everything. And if I don't give back to everybody, then I don't want to call myself an MVP, right? So that right there, that selfishness, not sharing your gift. Like I'm like pushing myself to make sure that like anybody who like message me, calls me, I reach out to every single person, talk to every single person. I mean, there's a lot of people who've messaged me, and I do call everybody. I do talk to everybody. But I feel like I'm not doing it enough. I'm gonna do more videos, that kind of thing, to share what I've learned. And again, you know, I'm not the best, but the thing is, like, I'll give what I can. Right? There's so many people who had talked to me and said, "I watched your video. I watched your video. I watched your video. I watched this video and that video," and I'm like, dang, that many people watched my video. I had somebody even recited my presentation to me. That was crazy. I was like, wow, this you really are watching the video. He just said exactly my words, word for word. And again, and if I'm not sharing more, then I don't feel like an MVP. So that is my take on that, right? I'm gonna really push myself to share more.
And I think that's the biggest thing, man. We can both agree that we don't have any
Yeah.
type of special superpower or like any crazy talent. But if you guys can take away something from the both of us today, is that
Hmm.
we're very hard workers and we have great mentors, we have great teams that stand behind us, and that's how you get to that MVP level. It's not just about you, but when I think of MVP, I think of the great team that I have. I
Hmm.
think about the awesome staff that I have. Like, I think about my amazing family that sacrificed all of 2024, me working 7 days a week like a dog in the office on Sundays, going in to train people and do orientations on Sundays. Like, that's my MVPs, my team, my staff,
Hmm.
my family, all of the people that are behind me, that are pushing me, giving me that extra push whenever those days are getting tough. And that's what it is, guys. Like, if you guys think we signed up for something easy here, like, I hate to break the news to you guys, but there's a lot of hard work to get to the level that, you guys are seeing me and Harold performing at. And it all starts with that mindset because what we do, I always say it's not physically hard, but it is mentally hard. And I remember like early on in the year, like when I was going from 88,000 a month to finishing at 1.4 million a month, like stuff started really getting hard around that 200, 300K level. And that's because you're doing everything on your own. You're carrying all the weight. You're pushing yourself. You're going faster than anybody. You're training 10 people at the same time, writing 50, 60K a month on your own pen. Like stuff gets really hard and it gets very mentally hard. That's why you need to keep a sharp mindset. And
Hmm.
the way I always looked at stuff is that I'm going to be consistent over time. I'm going to do the stuff that works on the good days, the great days, the bad days, my worst weeks. I'm going to show up every day with the same schedule and do the same thing consistently, and that's what it comes down to. And then number 2 is finding the right people. So I had a lot of great people along the way this year that I learned a lot from, and I was able to implement stuff from like my mentor Zach Tordowski, what took him 4 years to do, to be able to do it in 1 year. Same thing with Wiley Hawkins. Exact same thing. So those are the two guys that I had in my corner that were pushing me. And like I always say, like I didn't know anything about the insurance industry before I came into it, but I got around two people that, were moving really fast that I wanted to learn from. And I made sure that anything I learned from them, I was coming back to them, checking in with them and keeping that mindset. And I think like having a mentor in this business is key because I talked about those days where it got really hard for me, like in February, March, and April. And like there were some days that were like breaking points for me. And like, like I would magically get a call and like it's almost weird. Like your mentor almost knows that you're thinking of him and like you'll randomly get a call one day when you're having one of those bad days. So they're going to be able to give you guys that extra push, especially when you're going through those times in the beginning stages, because everybody kind of sees where we're at now, but they don't see what we had to go through. And I think one of the biggest things that you can touch on, Harold, since we both have beautiful families, I got a chance to meet your kids over the
Yeah.
weekend, is sacrifice, right? Nobody knows what it takes to sacrifice to get to this MVP level. If you want to share a
Hmm.
little bit.
Yeah. That was a good. I had a lot of those questions. Schedule. What do you? How are you able to do this with your family? And I think the most important thing is that conversation. It's a conversation you have with your spouse, your kids, your parents, your siblings, whoever it is. You got to have that conversation, and they have to be on the same exact page, right? I was explaining to somebody, at the convention. I'm just like, you have to have this conversation. However, you can't just go and take all this time away from them, take all this time to work and not give back to your family. So I was explaining that you need to have some type of agreement, whether it's, hey, I'm going to work this many hours, But in return, you know what? We're gonna do this on the weekend. We're gonna spend nothing but family time, uninterrupted family time. We're gonna take this vacation. We're gonna be able to do this or do that. So for me and my wife, we have that agreement where I'm working as hard as I possibly can, and even that has to be uninterrupted so that I can have uninterrupted family time, right? So it makes it so that we're both on the same exact page. Even with my parents, my brothers, my even my in-laws, everybody understands what my goals are, and they know what I'm chasing towards, so that I can give back to them to the best of my ability, right? And being that leader, right? So yeah, I mean, my daughter has like a note on my desk. It says, "You work for me," and I look at it every day. He wrote it. So it's like, those are the things, it's these reminders of why I work so hard. I have my family photo here. I'm always constantly knowing why I work so hard, right? It's a reminder. And that's so important because when I want to take days off. I want to not have to work. I want to wake up late. I want to end early, but it doesn't align with what my goals are and what I need to accomplish. So being able to see these things as a reminder, is very important. How about yourself, Ronnie?
And I think that's huge, man, because that was actually one of my most favorite questions that one of the many that I was asked around convention. It said, what does your schedule look like when it comes to family? Because like I look at some of these younger guys that may not be married like
Mm,
us or may not have kids like us.
yeah,
It's like, dude, what's your excuse? Like if anybody in this Zoom has an excuse right now, it's the two guys that are spotlighted on Euro's laptop right
mm,
now. I've got three kids. I think you have two,
two,
Harold?
yeah,
Two. So like early on there's going to be sacrifice, and this was a question that I asked people like Zach, I asked people like Stephen E, like people I knew that had families in the industry, and I was like, hey man, like how does it work the first year when you're giving this thing a full run? And he was like, man, you got to sacrifice because that family time is going to get cut severely, especially your first 365 days here if you want to do something special. But here's the thing, we could both agree that our phones probably go off all day,
yeah,
so you got to make that time at the end of the night where you're going to be able to make time for your family, like whether it's like I always put my phone on do not disturb from like 7:30, 8 o'clock to the rest of the night, and that's my time I give to my kids during the week. Like if you can give your family, and this is something I learned from Zach, like 1 hour of solid time without any disturbance like in the week time is like solid, because
mhm,
that hour goes a long way when your phone is not dinging 24/7. And then same thing on Sundays, like I do work on Sundays. I show up from 10 to 1 on the office, and then I give the rest of that day to my family. But, early on, there's going to be a lot of sacrifice. I started this year with like five friends, ended it with zero, but I developed 141 brothers and sisters on my team. And that's more important than any friend can provide. And Sean said something behind stage when I was eating lunch with him on Saturday with some of my guys that won a competition. He's like, you have to become obsessed. He's like, you have to just leave all of your unneeded baggage behind you because that's what it's gonna take to be great. It's not about just the work that you're willing to put in, but it's also about what you're willing to sacrifice. And to me, that's something huge because we can both agree that, to make these types of runs, that there is a lot of sacrifice involved, and that's what it's gonna take. But I was kind of thinking about this earlier, Harold. What would you
mhm.
say was your biggest takeaway from 2024 convention to up until a few days? Like when you left that last convention, what were your goals?
Do more, right? So somebody asked, that's funny. Somebody asked me like, what did you change from 2023 to 24? I was like, nothing. I just did more. I
Mhm.
really pushed myself to do more. And now I'm looking at this convention, and I don't think the amount of times I heard do IULs was like outrageous. So,
Yeah.
I even was like, all right, I'm gonna do this. I sat with even like Devin and I talked to a whole bunch of people about IULs. Like everybody's like telling me and pushing me. Yeah, it was an IUL convention. It was crazy. So, but again, if I'm not growing, I'm not getting any better. So I'm like, all right, that is my push. But yeah, the energy was way different. I again, it's funny because every single time we go, oh, this convention is the best convention ever. This literally was the best convention ever. Yeah, the speakers were amazing. There's so much more energy. Yeah, yeah, can't beat it, right?
Yeah, and that's huge. So I remember like when I attended my first convention, which was last year, I walked in with one person from my team and I saw all these guys, especially when it came to the award ceremony. I remember seeing like Rob K,
Hmm.
run laps around the stage. And I left with two goals in my mind. I said, number one, it's going to be my first year going full time into the business. I'm going to walk away with a Hall of Fame jacket, put a check mark on that. And then I said, I'm going to come back with a team that's doing 1 million a month. And we were able to put a
Hmm.
check on that. And then the last thing that I said is I was going to find out how much Rob K's team did that year, and I was going to shatter whatever he did. And I think he was running around up there for like 600K a month or something. So I was like, that's you got to be able to be up there, you got to put those numbers up, and it comes down to performance. So like without those goals in place, like you're not going to get anywhere. And that's the
Hmm.
biggest thing. Like most people that you see up there performing at a high level, they have a mindset that is rewarded based off of their goals. And if you're just going to show up without a purpose, like you're going to get smoked by guys that have a why and have that strong mindset. So I think one of the other bigger things that come to getting those results is knowing your purpose and having a why. So what would you say for you, Harold? Like what's the biggest thing for you that drives you every day to make sure that you're continuously pushing yourself and performing?
Yeah. Well, of course, my why, my family. Um, and I have this note here. It was the if your why is about you, you're going to quit on you. But if your why is bigger than you, you'll keep going. So for me, again, family, it's bigger than me. So that keeps me driven. But moving to into this year, into the next for this year, it's I missed the green jacket by a little bit. Very to me, it was that was a loss for me, right? That hurt. That hurt me because to me that is the jacket I'm chasing. I want the green jacket because it's not a that jacket is not about me. Somebody asked me, like, why are you not wearing a yellow jacket? Because I didn't get the green one. The green one's the yellow one is about me basically at the end of the day. But the green one is about the team, and that's what I care for. Everybody here, this is a man builder's call. That green jacket is what you should be chasing because that means your team is winning. The team, not you, the team. So to me, again, I missed by a little bit, and it hurt me. It hurt big time because that means I failed the team. I didn't do what I needed to do to make sure the team hit that green jacket. So I know this year, no matter what, at all costs, I don't care what it takes, I'm going to get the green jacket, period. So that is my push.
And I think that's huge because like that is being the builder call. Like that's the whole purpose of the business. If you only care
Hmm.
about yourself, you're not going to get very far in this business. And I think the biggest things that one of the biggest things that drove me this year is I had a guy on stage that spoke. His name was Amin Raja. He was the first agent that joined my team. He's like my brother, my day one. And he started sharing a few stories about like what the business was doing for others. And I think that was honestly the number one thing that drove me is I started seeing what the business was doing for others, and that kind of lit up the fire because I think this is the only business where like it's not the playing field is open, nobody controls your commission, nobody controls your bonus, nobody controls how much money you could take home from your family. Everything comes back to you. What you want to make out of this business, it comes back to you. And that was my favorite thing, honestly, about the business is it all goes back to what you make of it. You can make as much as you want to, as much work as you want to put in, is as much you're going to take home to your family. And
Yep.
that's the biggest thing that this industry and our IMO specifically, the playing field is open and it's fair to everybody. So when it comes down to getting that Hall of Fame jacket for the agency, what would you say are the biggest things that you're looking to implement to this year with your team? And I'll kind of share a few of mine afterwards.
Yeah. Well, standards, learn the standard, achieve the standard, exceed the standard. So putting in place a stronger, higher standard is a big one.
Mhm.
I think spending more time with the agents, I think Jay Masca said team house. I was
Yeah.
thinking of it like it's like a forever lock-in. That was cool. It's funny because I've been looking for a place, something around my area. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna do this and fly everybody in all the time. Um, but one of the questions that I'm gonna take it to my managers, to my team, is am I worthy of being followed? Would you follow you? are you being the best example to the team, right? So the task I had, I on stage, I had spoken to the agents, right, to the masses, and said, I want you to write down every single thing that you think is an ideal agent, right? An ideal agent, and write these things down, write on a piece of paper, and then become that agent, right? Put it on the paper, become that, put it on a piece of paper, put it on your wall, become this agent. So now it's just another step, right? As a manager or as a leader of the team, again, this is the builder's call. Write this, do the same exact thing. Write that down. What is an ideal leader? What is an ideal manager? Write every single thing down, put it on your wall, and become that person. Because at the end of the day, exactly, somebody had put the question, wrote it down. Would you follow you? Am I being the best version of myself for you to follow? Because if I'm not, then I'm not going to get the green jacket, right? If I'm not being that best version, if I'm not worthy of being followed, because why follow me if I'm not going to take the team to where it needs to be? So I need to continue to be the best version of myself and really press myself a little harder. So it's very important to that's important to me. And that's what I'm going to push myself and my team to make sure that all the management, all the leaders are being the best version of themselves.
100%. I think we can both agree on this. Like, you cannot get to a Hall of Fame agency jacket by yourself. Like, unless you're developing leaders or you're developing those running mates that are helping you
Mm-hmm.
run up those numbers, you can't get there by yourself. And I'll tell you guys one thing: if you do not develop leaders on your team, it's really hard to get past that
Yeah.
200, 300K a month level. And if you don't start finding those leaders and pouring into them, it's almost impossible to.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the biggest thing. And like, I sent Sean and Zach a text about this other day because we had a December competition the other day, and I promised my top two guys that they would have lunch with Sean and Zach, and Andrew Taylor joined too. And the text that I sent them, I was like, the foundation of this IMO is so strong because the foundation is led by individuals that simply believe in others and they want a better future for others. And like seeing stuff like Sean handing out trophies all convention, like he doesn't have to be up there the whole time doing that, but like that just shows you like how important that is to stuff leaders like him and how much he cares about giving back with his own hands, you know. So like that
Mm-hmm.
seeing stuff like that, it honestly drives me. And being able to be surrounded by so many people that can help you develop those leaders is big thing. So I would say the biggest takeaway that I could give you all that I took from 2024 when it comes to developing leaders is you have to be the first one that takes the blame and the last one that takes the credit. And
Mm-hmm.
developing leaders is simply believing in others. And that's all my mentor did for me. That's all I did for all of my guys that you guys saw up on stage this week. All people need is somebody to believe in them, you know? Like there's so many crazy stories, and it just comes back to having the ability to believe in people. And I think having that ability is like having a superpower because if you look at the result from before and then you see the result from after, it's honestly amazing. And there's no amount of money that you could put a price on seeing those results when you see somebody come out of the trenches to seeing them on stage speaking and knowing that they're doing well for their family, knowing that they have a great income, knowing that they're living a good life. Like that matters more than any amount of money that you could put on my table right now. And that's the best part of the business. And the way you develop those leaders is by it's simple conversations and giving them, like when I meet with my guys once a week, the message is just like, hey, what's gonna go down this month? Like for example, when I talked to my guys this morning, the message was clear. Like I sent out a message. I said, you guys need to listen to this message loud and clear. The next 2 months will dictate the flow of the entire year. What happens the next 60 days after convention will dictate the flow of the entire year because this is what ignites everybody's fire, right? Leaving convention, I always say it's like the new year. It feels like the new year after we leave convention because what happens after this is going to be your result for the entire year. So everybody in here, I like, for example, we're bringing in a huge guest to my team call tonight to fire up the call. We're announcing our competitions for March. So like you guys need to harness the energy leaving convention. Everybody's excited to come back. I personally was ready to run through and I feel 10 times even better this year. But the biggest thing is keeping that momentum going because the biggest push of the entire year starts today. Like today is when everything starts because the momentum is there and you can't lose it, you know? And then you could go ahead and close out with anything you have on your heart, Harold. I know we're gonna go for
Yeah,
like minutes as our deadline.
yeah, absolutely. So, there's one of the books that I read and have my management team read is it's a John Gordon book, Carpenter. But in there, they talks about love, serve, and care. Like that's like the message in there. And you were talking about Sean, and the first thing Sean, right when I saw Sean, big hug, love you, bro. That's the first thing he tells me, love you, man. What can I do for you? Are you good? You happy? Need anything? What can I do for you? Like the first thing, family's good, everything's good. I'm like, dang, you don't get that from anywhere, right? If from any leader, any company, they don't just go straight to like, what can I do for you? How can I serve you? What can I do to help you? And even it's crazy because I saw him multiple times and he still said the same thing. He's like, "You good? You need anything? What's going on? How are you? What's up? What's going on?" And it's like so many times that said that to me on multiple occasions. And for me, it's like, okay, I need to make sure that I'm also doing that same exact thing to make sure that, again, as a leader, I'm doing those things. And again, this is a builder's call. You need to make sure you are putting that out there to your team, that you're loving on your team, you're serving your team, and you care about each individual. So that, again, and that you feel it so much from Sean. And it's disrespectful if you don't do the same for your people. So that is my mission this year. I'm going to press on that. And again, not being selfish, right? Sharing the gift.
And then what would you say for 2025? What do the goals look like?
Green jacket. I'm set at 25 million for the agency. Um, I mean, I already know the pressure of having to write.
Run for the mill,
It's gonna
personal?
it's gonna be I'm gonna do pressure myself. I got a lot of people who had pushed me and said, "Hey, uh like you're second place." I was like, "Not first." Like, dang, man. Like, all right, all right. And they're like, maybe like even Sean said it, push yourself to be first place, push yourself to be number one. All right. It looks like we're gonna go for it this year. So we'll see. We shall see.
What is it, like 5 times now for him, back to back?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I think the only way we can get rid of Steve is we might have to like send the mafia after him or
I know,
something.
right?
We can't
So,
get that guy off of number one every.
yeah.
No, it's crazy to see, man. So I would say a couple of my goals that I have written down, and the thing that I would challenge you guys all with is after this call, I want you guys to find your all's why, put it in a picture next to your all's desk, and look at it every day. And then my goals are always on a whiteboard right behind my desk. And every day when I grab my keys, I see it on the way out. So the thing that I want to challenge you guys today is find your why and find your purpose. Why are you showing up? Because if there's no purpose, you're not going to get to an MVP caliber level. You're not going to do anything special here. You're not going to change anybody's lives. Find that why, put a picture right next to your desk, and then I need you guys to get a whiteboard and write down your all's goals on it, and you need to look at it every day. So my goals for this year is I'm going to come back to convention with 50 Hall of Famers, and I want to help 5 managers on my team get to $1 million a month as an agency. And that's my goals. And if you look at anything in my goals, it doesn't say anything about me, it doesn't say anything about money. My goal is strictly on changing people's lives this year. And that's what it is. And that's what drives you in the business, because when you get to income levels like myself and Harold, the money almost stops like losing, it loses like value almost, like what I really enjoy is seeing others change their lives and seeing others like change the trajectory of their family, being able to do nice stuff for them. So the biggest thing is I challenge everybody today is to find those goals, write them down, and protect them with everything inside of you, and develop that MVP mindset. There's nothing that can slow me down. And the way I look at myself is if you want to compete with me, there's only one way. You've got to literally come kill me, because we will not be denied, man. And that's the mindset that you need to have. And we'll go ahead and close it out with that. Just I need everybody to remember that 2025 starts today.